Let's talk about a bearish call on the financials. It's from Wolfe Research. They downgrade large cap banks to market weight. Timing, not a shock. I mean, it's before earnings. It's our call of the day. All right, Rich Saperstein. So they cut the price targets on most of the banks they cover. They raised Wells's target by $1. Big whoop. Everything else, though, they did cut. Citibank, they cut to 55 from 63. You cut it to a sell because you got rid of it. Why?
Yeah. Well, in the last 6 months, we've reduced our bank exposure by probably around 50%. So we're overweight. We own JPM, Goldman, and Bank of America right now. Citi suffers from being too global. And in an environment we're in now, it's only going to be under further pressure. And we just didn't see that turnaround occurring as quick as we would like. And we had to raise capital to redeploy. And that's what we did.
Now, Weiss, you have said on numerous occasions how much you like Bank of America and you like Brian Moynihan, the job he's done, and you own it, and you own Goldman Sachs. I'm told that you're, quote, reevaluating your positions in the financials. What does that mean?
Well, you know, what nobody's talking about, including Wolfe, is that you're going to have a pretty bad quarter on the investment banking side of these banks. It doesn't take a genius to see that. There's been a real lack of equity issuance in the first quarter. SPACs are done. You've only seen a couple of those, and who knows why anybody would buy a SPAC at this point. But in terms of IPOs, in terms of secondaries, there's just been, there's been crickets. So those are the highest margin products that the investment banks have. Investment banks, meaning B of A's bank. However, they've got a much broader business than Goldman. So the stocks, I believe, are too cheap to sell. I'm not really worried about the inverted yield curve staying inverted for too long. So this is going to be a rough quarter. I'm inclined to stay with the stocks and go through the quarter because I like management of both companies, and I think ultimately they'll be higher in a year. So that's what I'm saying with you. You look at the price targets that Wolfe changed, you still have pretty good upside. Still have 20% upside at least in both of those, meeting Goldman and B of A.
I mean, if they're right, if they're right. If they're right. But look, the yield curve's been inverted. We've seen the stocks come under pressure. They're well off their highs at this point. So I do think you have some upside ahead. This quarter will be messy, no doubt about it. Shan, you got JP Morgan, BNY Mellon, BlackRock, Schwab, different kinds of financial institutions, obviously. But what about the big banks and this call? Since you own JP Morgan, they cut the target to 158 from 180.
Yeah, and I don't disagree with Steve. Well, it must be Friday. But I think what we're looking at here is, if you think about financials, they've been trading as the banks trade, right? Everybody's been talking about financials as a sector, but really everybody's been talking about large cap banks. And I think this is just a great example of the uncertainty around what's happening with the yield curve, the fact that the Fed can only impact one side of that coin. And the reality is that all of this market volatility, it may be certainly impacting investment banking revenue negatively, but you have a lot of other opportunities to make money in the exchanges. We see continued retail interest in investing, so Schwab and BlackRock. So I think diversifying your financials basket makes a lot of sense. And perhaps if we do get a market pullback, it might be a good time to add to a couple of other large cap banks. But for me, JPM is best in class in terms of large money center banks, and that's why we're positioned there.
Okay. But you still got 23 and a half minutes, by the way, left in this program to disagree with Weiss. So don't worry. There's plenty of time. Plenty of time. We all know it's just a matter of time.
Well, my question to Shannon is, why is she content being right only once a week on Fridays?
I don't know. Look, we'll take another break.